Good morning, friends. I am just going to double check this is working because I assumed it wasn't going to work on the computer and set my phone up. And then I thought, let me just try for a second. And then it looked like the computer was actually working. So I'm just going to make sure on my phone, yes, I can see my face and I'm in the right place. Yes, yes, yes. Awesome. Happy Thursday. It's a little bit unusual for me to be here on a Thursday. I'm like fully entrenched in the Friday routine, but I have a chock-a-block day tomorrow. Not at home, off, not working, getting my hair done, very important things. So I wanted to make sure I showed up for you guys. So I scheduled it today. So I'm super excited to be here. Hey, it's working. I know. I know. It's like crazy that it's working on the computer again because I actually just find it a lot easier to talk to the computer. So, hey, thanks for joining, Kaya. Good to see you here. Super excited to get my hair done tomorrow. Like, it's going to be chopped up here. And yeah, life feels like it's getting back to normal when you can like just go and get your hair done. So I wanted to talk today about something that I don't think I see a lot of people really talking about, and that's what I'm all kind of about, is like pulling back the veil on what things are really like. Because I think sometimes, the online space, when we present content and everything, we're so black and white about things often because, we want to help people see things and put our view forward and whatever. And, often things just aren't super black and white. There's just so much gray in the middle. And I just want to be here to help see some of that gray and just like reveal some of that, because I think when our experience doesn't match some of the stories or the black and white or the content that we're seeing in the online space, we kind of feel like there can be something wrong with us or that we're doing it wrong, or the big one, like it doesn't feel right because it doesn't feel good. And I just want to kind of bust some myths on that. So I wanted to talk to you guys today about investing in yourself. And I'm really conscious of using that language when I make these investments, because I really do view when you are building your skill set or bringing support to help you grow or to learn something new or whatever, it truly is an investment. But I see a lot of people viewing it like an expense. And I've done a whole training on this. I can't remember if it was early this year or late last year. So if you haven't seen that, I highly recommend going back and like looking at how to get into the mindset of support and investing in yourself. But I wanted to talk today about more of the like practical, what it actually feels like when you do it, because I know I hear it from you guys when you start working with me, and I just see it from my peers and I experience it myself. And when we haven't experienced it before, we can confuse kind of like fear of growing or, stepping into the next level version of ourselves and getting uncomfortable doing that with making the investment that we're thinking about doing wrong, okay? And that's not always the case. So I wanted to just chat about that. If you guys know, I always forget to do stuff at the end of the session. So I'm going to put a link in here. Where do I do this? Get my booking link. So you guys know I love the calls, love giving you guys heaps of value. So if you're a new coach and you're struggling with your niche, I would love to connect with you on one of these calls. So there's a narrow your niche. I've just popped the link there. And if you're a coach who's been coaching for a while and wanting to like really step into the next level version of your business, you should book the Money Milestone Maker session. Let me get the booking links and click that. They're pretty limited over the next couple of months, and I'm just being conscious to like talk about them a lot because I love doing them, guys. And it just helps me see what's going on with you guys. What are the challenges out in the marketplace at the moment? And obviously it's about giving you guys a great experience. So if you hop on one of those, you will walk away having a great coaching experience. And there's absolutely no obligation to like buy from me. I don't believe in hard sales, anything like that. So yes, they're there. Important, I've started mentioning to a few people who have been on various calls and chatting about various work, because my business has grown a lot. There's some things that I'm having to change behind the scenes in terms of pricing, because GST comes into the mix and all of these different things. So there is a price increase coming on the 1st of July. People who are chatting with me now and existing clients, there is no change for you. But people who sign up and start working with me after the 1st of July, there is going to be a price increase. But like, I'm having people book things now. Like, I just had an intensive this week booked for July, and they were able to secure the current pricing. So if you have that conversation and booking whatever it is that you're looking to do, it's the 28th of May, so in May or June, you can book it for like July or August and still lock in the current price. So I'm just going to mention that there because I get carried away and forget to talk about this stuff at the end. So let's dive in. Let's dive in and chat about investing in yourself and what it really feels like. And I know there's a few of you on, so I'd love to hear who has made a big investment in themselves. Like, drop an emoji or like a comment if like you've made that big investment in yourself and you kind of know the feeling that I'm like talking about here. Or if you're currently thinking about it and you're kind of weighing through all the different feels and all the different ways to make a decision. Like, I'd love to kind of hear where you guys are at. So drop me a little comment and let me know kind of where you're at in this process. But this came up for me because over the weekend I decided to make a huge investment in myself. I guess I didn't decide, but I hit click and I booked it in. And it's massive, guys, like massive investment in myself. I decided to do, you guys know I love Brooke Castillo, like favorite person in the world, like the biggest mentor to me who doesn't know that she's a mentor to me kind of thing. And for about a year, I've just been thinking, like, wouldn't it be awesome to be mentored by her? And I was just like, imagine being in her sphere. Like, she runs a $25 million coaching business. She trains coaches all year. Like, she runs annual conferences and like brings all of her coaches together. And I was like, wouldn't it be so cool to be a part of that? Like, I've been thinking that for a while. And she talks about her coaching program being like the Yale, like I'm in Australia, like the Harvard, the Yale, basically like the top Ivy League colleges. She's designed her program to be that for coaching. And I've sat with it for ages. And on the weekend, I'm like, do you know what? I was going to go and see Tony Robbins this year. I was going to go down to Melbourne and see, I've just had a mental blank. Joe Dispenza, and all of those things are cancelled. And I was like, what am I going to do for my development, right? Because what I know is that our business is only going to grow as much as we grow, right? If we're not growing, our business is probably going to stagnate and kind of flatline. And when I'm asking people to invest in me to grow and develop, I want to be continuously investing in myself and developing and growing. So anyway, long story short, I decided to do her program. So I enrolled and paid the first month installment. And like, it's expensive as it is, but it's in US dollars. And as we know, the Australian dollar and the US dollar are like not good friends at the moment. So it's like wildly expensive, right? But I saw that as being hugely valuable because of what I'm wanting to do and the community I'm wanting to be part of, and like wanting to, like, I'm viewing this as like my master's in coaching kind of thing, and putting myself in a community of people who are really striving for the same kind of level of business that I am, and also being mentored by who I view as like one of the absolute top coaches in the world. So I made that decision and I did that. But it brings up all the feelings, right? And when I did that, it reminded me of when I hired my most recent coach, and when I hired my very first coach. It was a similar kind of feeling and process, and I just kind of wanted to bring you behind the scenes on that. So Kiara said, I've made a few big investments in my business. Now I'm just focusing on implementing. Right. Like, that's such a good point, and I could do like a whole training on that. It's one of the things I chat about with a lot of people is like doing courses and trainings and learning versus getting support to implement. And like, it's such an important topic. So yes, I love that. I'm focusing on implementing. That's so important. So yeah, when you make a big investment in yourself, how exciting. Go Laura. I've always wanted to do self-coaching scholars. I imagine her coaching program would be incredible. Yes. And do you know what's amazing? obviously because it's such a huge thing, you get so much with it. And I get self-coaching scholars with it. So I've kind of been working through a little bit of that over the past couple of days. I was going to say weeks, but it's only been like a few days, which is super, there's a lot in there. So it's really cool. Like, so you just naturally get access to that. So I've started been doing some of my own self-coaching. And obviously I work with a business coach as well. So what I see, and I think this is the first part I want to talk about, is I always see these things as an investment, right? Like the coach I'm working with at the moment, again, I like ran the numbers yesterday and I was like, I don't think I should tell people. It's almost like intimidating how much I'm spending on my coach across the course of the year, and like how much I'm spending on this coaching program across the course of the year. Like when I added the two together, my jaw fell to the floor. I mean, you guys can run off and calculate the numbers. You'll see it for yourself. But I look at it as an investment, right? Because I know that my business cannot grow beyond my level of growth just because of the nature of this type of business. Can other businesses? Yes. Like I think like a product-based business where the idea was like a product, and if it's, I don't know if it's stocked in Woolworths or whatever, it's a very different level of a very different type of operation of business. So I'm not saying this applies to all businesses, but like this is my belief in this type of industry where you're providing transformation for people and you are the face of the business, and your growth is like reflected in how you show up in the world. So I've kind of just had this huge realization over probably like the last 18 months that like my business is never going to outgrow me. I have to grow first, and then the business grows and catches up with it. And that's why I view these things as investments, right? So doing the training with Brooke Castillo, that's not even really an investment in my business, right? That's more like doing like a university degree where it's like investment in like a skill set, right? But I know there's no way that can't return to me, right? Like if I step into that and fully show up for it and like hone my skills and like put myself around the best mentors I can find and like soak up everything they're talking about and go away and implement exactly as Kiara's mentioned, like go away and implement that, there's no way I can't generate a return on that, right? When I view it that way. But what I see a lot of people doing, and it's the same with my coach, I like pretty much found like the best coach that I wanted to work with, and it was a huge stretch for me to hire her. Again, her prices are in US dollars, which isn't favorable for Australian dollars. So it's a very big investment I'm making that monthly. Plus I also pay her like a percentage of revenue. So as my revenue grows, which is an awesome thing, I pay her more, which is why like I can see like the amount I'm like investing into myself is just tracking up so much over the course of the year because my revenue's growing. And that's the result of making those investments, right? But what I see a lot of people come to me thinking about is that it's almost like this is an expense, and like, can I afford to like lose this money or spend this money, or like, you know, viewing it as like something where, I don't know, it's like buying stationery or like buying a car. It's like a good example. It's like you buy the thing and it loses value and you've kind of lost the money, right? Which is what happens when we all buy cars. But like, do we buy over the top expensive cars? Yes, humans have a behavior of doing that, right? So that's the way I see a lot of people viewing things like coaching or you know, certain trainings. And I think like the shift is viewing it as like, this is going to return to me if I decide it is, and like making sure that you pick investments where you can see that you will make that return, that you'll show up for it, that you will make the return. It's such a different perspective on viewing that, and it's the thing that enables you to like go probably bigger than you would when you're like, if it's like a car, like, oh, if I buy, you know, my dream car's an Audi, right? If I buy an Audi and like, and I said Aldi, if I buy an Audi and drive it off the shop front, and like a year later it's lost half of its value, versus I've got a Mazda at the moment. Like if I buy a Mazda and it's lost half its value, like sometimes that's like our decision making process, like how much am I willing to kind of lose. But then it's like, if I buy a house, or if I invest in a uni degree, or if I hire a coach, and I can see that that's the thing that's going to drive the return, then of course we can, we can go a bit beyond like what logic sometimes would tell us, right? If I stuck with my logic brain, like I wouldn't have hired the coach that I'm working with right now. I wouldn't be like investing in this like super high level coaching program. But like I know where I'm going. And so it's almost like I'm stepping into the future and like investing from that place. It's like, if in a year from now my business has grown to 200,000 or 250,000 a year, do these investments make sense? And of course, at that time, you're like, yeah, that's a no-brainer. Like, it's easy to invest, $30,000 in a coaching training or whatever when you're making 200,000. But when you're in the place where it's like, my business is just hitting through its first, 100,000 this year, that's a huge percentage of that, right? And same with my coach, right? But I made the decision when I hired that coach, I wanted to grow my business from those like 5K months to 10K months. And I was like, if I'm making 10K months, does this investment in working with her make sense, right? Even though that's not where I was at the time. So that's something I really want to share with you in terms of like shifting your perspective on thinking, because that's how I bring my thinking to everything now. It's like, is this a thing to help me get to where I'm going to? And if I'm going to get to where I know I'm going, does this investment make sense? And if the answer is yes, then that's like my filter. Now, I'm not saying that they're the specific questions for you, and I don't know everyone's individual circumstances, but from a mindset perspective, that's a huge hack. If you are investing from a place of where you're going, not where you are right now. It's like Joe Dispenza. We're watching his video the other night because we're both, my partner and I were both planning on going to Dispenza things later this year, and whether they're happening. The Melbourne one I don't think will be, but he was thinking of going to one of the retreats. And so we're watching this Dispenza thing. And it's like, if you make decisions from your current reality for your future, you're just going to create more of your current reality. And we know that to be so true, yet that's what we do all the time. So we make a decision, like even simple things like, I don't know, yesterday I ate pancakes for breakfast, so today I eat pancakes for breakfast. And we're like, but the reality is I want to be having a green smoothie and losing weight. I'm just making up an example here, right? You need to like shift and decide from that future version who's got the body that you want and who's feeling like, energetic and whatnot in their body, to decide what you're going to put into your body from that place. And it's the same kind of with these investments. So that's what I wanted to share. So, but what I want to share with you on this is like, it never is going to feel like comfortable, like super comfortable, right? Because you're making decisions from a place that in your mind you are deciding are certain, but reality does not match that at the moment, okay? So when I hired my first coach, like I was so excited, but also felt like I was about to vomit, right? Because you are, and tell me guys if you have felt that, like it's like excitement packed up with nervousness. It's like, I know this is the thing, but all the fears come up, and it's like this wildly amazing contrast, right? And I think a lot of the time we can say, well, because I feel sick about this, it's wrong, or it's not the right decision. We want everything to kind of feel amazing, right? And it's kind of, I can't think of an example, but like, it's almost like I've been running a lot, right? And like, if you push yourself really hard and you're running to get yourself better, like you can vomit, right? Like the lactic acid and everything. I'm not saying I don't do that, but like it, sometimes at my boot camp, I have like, when we've done the hill runs, I'm like, oh my God, I'm about to vomit, right? Does that feel comfortable in the moment? No. But it's also an example of like your body, like you pushing the comfort zone, you're getting fitter, you're getting stronger. And I can relate, like, I don't know the health side benefits of like vomiting when you're training, but like it's something I've seen people do at the gym heaps of times, like when they push themselves really hard with boxing and whatnot, and they turn around and spew. Such an Aussie term, spew. And it's almost like that, right? Where it's like, we know we're pushing ourselves to a new level, so we can get super uncomfortable from it, because in our reality in that moment, there isn't certainty that what you're seeing for yourself in the future is going to happen. So when you take it to your friends or your partner, or even just your logical brain, and do like a cost benefit analysis or something, the numbers often won't stack up. But like when you know, like if I invest this and the future I see is like wildly beyond anything I could ever believe, and this is the thing that's going to get me there, it makes sense from that perspective. But we don't have the data on the future perspective. Does that make sense? Like, let me know what you think as I say that. Like, does that make sense for you? So I've always found, like, even when I like on the weekend, like I enrolled, the first payment like came off my credit card, and I'm always like, I have to just take my brain out of this and not really think about it and just kind of do it. Because as soon as I did it, what happened? My brain stepped in and was like, was this the right decision? Are you really going to generate a return on this? Like, maybe you should be doing this next year. Like, our brain whips out all of the things, right? And like, that's completely normal because our brain is designed to keep us safe. So Kiara's saying, yes, she resonates with that feeling. Our brain is designed, and what I was saying, I'm glad that makes sense. Our brain is designed to keep us safe, right? So as soon as like, you know, have you ever like stood on the edge of like, if you've gone up to like I grew up in Manly in Sydney, and there's like a big North Head, right? And if you like go to the edge of the cliff, even though you know you're like safe, your brain's like, don't take another step, don't take another step, don't take another step. But like, you can move your feet forward, and even though you still might be a meter back from the edge, your brain's like, whoa, this is dangerous, this is unsafe, blah blah blah. It can even happen in buildings and stuff where there's like a safety screen, like you literally cannot fall over, but your brain's like, whoa, this is not safe, blah blah blah. And it's not logical, right? It's just like a what's that word I'm looking for? It's like one of our inbuilt kind of I can't think of the word. You know, like a hunter-gatherer, it's like one of those inbuilt kind of things that humans have, is like, we're always going to see the most dangerous part of things because that's how we've kept ourselves safe. So even if we're on like, you know, I don't know, one of those buildings like the one in Singapore with like the pool and everything, Marina Bay Sands, that's the one. And you can like go to the edge and it's like super safe. And even if you like fell over, you just fall onto the floor below. Like, it's all set up so like you can't just fall over the edge. But like, our brain's like, whoa, I'm up high, this is safe, unsafe, like don't go to the edge, don't push yourself, even though we know it's safe. And I feel like that's what kind of comes up here. So when my brain kicked in on Sunday, it's like, you know, is this safe? Should you be spending your money this way? Like, is this the best way you could be doing this? Is this a safe investment? What if you don't get a return? Blah, 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 blah. And I want to let you know that that's normal, right? And to me, my personal belief and view is that doesn't mean that it's wrong, right? That doesn't mean it's not the right decision for you. Because that's come up everything I've done. Like the first coach I hired, and even though like I got such different lessons from that experience than what I thought I was going to get, like I still took away that value from that, right? Pardon me. The coach I'm currently working with, same process. Like when I decided I was going to work with her, and it took me about a month to book the discovery call, right? Because I'm like, yeah, I'm going to work with this woman, blah, 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 blah. And it's like, once I booked the discovery call, I was stepping into it because I knew once I booked the call and had the call and like met with her, the ball's rolling, like we're done. And it's funny how I resisted booking the call for like a month, and then it kind of came around to bite me because then when I had the call, she still didn't have availability for like another month. So I ended up like, it took so much longer than I wanted to, because then as soon as I had the call, I'm like, nah, let's do this, we're good to go. And there was like a little bit of a lag then. But it's so interesting, right? Because like that comes up for us, and I see it all the time when I have discovery calls with people, and just with the conversations I have with you guys, with people in my community, with people on calls with me, with friends. It's normal. And I think over time for me now, like I've experienced this like enough that I'm just like, cool, like that's the fear mechanism kicking in, that's the brain, but like I can see the future and I'm deciding from there. Right. And I will laugh, just like the coach I'm working with now. I kind of just can laugh about it. Like, how funny that I was kind of scared of it, yet this has like propelled my business forward. Right. And it's like, I'll probably laugh about this in a year or two and be like, how funny that like this felt like such a big investment in myself and I was worried about it. And now I'm sitting in the future and I'm kind of looking back and laughing, going like, of course, this is like the thing I needed to do. So I just wanted to bring that conversation forward because I think that's the thing we see a lot. And I don't want, like, whether it's working with me or working with someone else or, you know, signing up to a program or something, I'm always cautious about signing up with programs because I see a lot of my clients have their imposter syndrome kick in, and the imposter syndrome is like, you need more courses, you need more qualifications, blah, blah, blah. So always just like be cautious of like the why you're doing it, right? And I think like we can make the exact same decision from different energetic places, and like in some ways, like when we make it from the energetic place of like, this is where I'm going and like this is the thing that's going to take me there, and like I'm growing into the next level, versus like I'm not good enough so I better do this thing. Like just check in on that. That's a different kind of conversation to have another day. But I see it come up a lot where the fears kick in, right? And then the person makes the decision from the fear. So it's like when they're like, yes, this is the right thing. This is amazing. Like we really click. And like, you know, for me, I'm like, I know Brooke's amazing. Like, of course, she's like the best mentor in the world I could have, blah, 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 blah. And then the fear kicks in the next day. Like, what are you doing, Laura? You're crazy. Like, how could you spend that much money? Blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, no, it's good. Like I've invested from my future self, right? But I see a lot of people let that fear-based decision, that fear-based talking be the thing that makes their decision for them. And again, like everyone's on their own journey. Like I don't want to make anyone wrong from that, but my job is to help you step into possibility and step into the future version of yourself, right? So that's something to check in on and say like, am I talking myself out of stuff I know will support me? Am I, like, when I say stuff, like mentoring, coaching, some kind of group program or some big investment in myself? Am I talking myself out of it because of that fear voice that wants to keep me away from the edge because it sees that it's dangerous? Or am I investing from that place of like the future self, right? Because if you're always investing from fear, or like, sorry, you're talking yourself out of investing from that fear-based place, you're going to create more of the same reality. Because that fear-based voice is trying to keep you in exactly the same position, right? Like that's the craziness of it, but it's the reality and the truth of it. If we make our decisions based on the logical thing that makes sense in our current reality, we create more of our current reality. If we make decisions based on where we know we can go and what we can see for ourselves in the future, even though our current reality doesn't match that, that's when we change our reality. Does that make sense? There's some comments. It's so exciting. I know, I'm so excited. I'm like, I'm ready to start now. It doesn't kick off till September, so I'm super excited. And like, yes, you know, part of the course, I was like, I could go and say, I haven't done the course yet, so I'm just assuming it's going to be amazing. Like once you've done the course, you get to go to an annual like 2-day conference in the US with Brooke. Like she puts it on, so I'm like, that's just like a done part of this for me. So like I'm super excited. That's almost part of what I want to be surrounded by, is like people in community who are like going where I want to go and like putting myself in those circles intentionally. And I was like, and doing the coaching program is almost like a byproduct, like just a benefit on the way. But of course, it's going to be amazing. It's like 6 months fully focused on coaching skills, and it's like in small groups. So like she's fully made it like the Yale of coaching. So like you're in a 10-person group with your own coaching mentor. Obviously Brooke does trainings, and then you're in a small group and you all kind of coach each other and everything. And I'm super excited. So Kiara's saying, yes, I need to start investing from my future self. Thanks so much for sharing your story, Laura. Oh, I'm so glad that resonated. Exactly. If that's the takeaway, like That's the takeaway that I want you to take away from this. Did I say takeaway enough times? Is like deciding from your future to change your current reality. Okay. That's the thing that, of course, it's going to feel uncomfortable because you're deciding from a vision in your head, not necessarily the numbers and the stats and what you're seeing around you. But I know, like, from my peers and from my coach and from the people I see that, my friends who are coaches and all of that, the people who almost catapult forward are the ones who do those things where they're like, I'm willing to do this because I can see the future. And the ones who will kind of get a bit stuck or struggling or kind of, it's good, but it's not great like they want it to be. It's almost like that drives their decision-making process because they don't believe that future vision is possible for themselves. And like, I study successful people. I kind of, surround myself with all these like different mentors and things. And that's the thing I see a lot. And even for myself, I've seen that. Like, I've got the evidence now that I can look back and go like, well, when I hired my current coach, the same thing happened. And like, look at the growth that happened. And when I hired that first coach, look what happened. And even I've worked with other coaches too. Like, when I've hired other coaches, I can look back at that and, when I, like, for me, coaching has been the biggest thing. And I almost feel like this decision to go into this program is so I can be mentored by this person who I see as like the top of our game kind of thing. So it's like, of course, this makes sense to like surround myself with that, those people, even though the numbers, like, from an accounting perspective, once I crunch the numbers, I'll be like, this is how my month looks, and this is what I've now invested into myself, and this is what I'll be investing for the next 5 months, because you do a 6-month kind of payment plan. And like, this is how much I'm investing in my current coaching. Like, those numbers don't necessarily make sense, right? But from the bigger perspective of a year from now and 2 years from now, they make so much sense. So I'm glad that came through. That's what I really wanted you guys to take away and just step into that. And this is what I find I'm helping people with on discovery calls, right? And on sometimes in the free calls that I do, it's like helping people step into their future self and decide from there. Okay. It's not always an easy thing to do, and it's not always comfortable. And like, can you do it on your own? 100% you can. But that's something I find that's where the coaching journey starts for me often with people in that discovery process, is like helping them see the future of what's possible for them. And it's not my job to decide for them or force them to make a decision. Any of you, it's completely your decision. But just helping you check in and see for yourself, that's when you're getting out of your own way, is when you can at least see for yourself, am I making this decision from possibility, or am I making this decision from fear? And that power is yours. You get to choose whether, like, if someone says to me like, yes, I can see that, but I want to decide from fear, like, okay, awesome. Like, you can see what's going on. So you've been coached, right? You've been given the opportunity to get out of your own way, and you can see what you're doing, right? And like, the next time in 6 months from now, you may decide differently from the future self, right? When you realize you've created more of the same reality. But that's what I really want you guys to take away. So I'm glad. So Kiara said I had a much smaller example of this last week. Actually, I splurged on a new desktop computer, which was $2,000. I currently have a small laptop that was $500. So it felt like a huge jump. And I was like thinking, should I really be spending this, money? That I said to myself, the Kiara that runs a successful business needs this computer. Exactly, right? It makes so much sense. Like, it felt great to invest in that for myself from that point of view. That is such a good example, right? Where it's like, my computer was dying earlier this year as well. And like, I went out and bought a new MacBook. And then once I bought out the new MacBook, I just like looked at my surrounds and I was like, I was like, why am I still like typing in on the laptop when I'm sitting at my computer all day? So like, I went and got myself a, like a separate keyboard and a separate mouse. Like, it's embarrassing to say I've been running my business off like just my laptop. And it's so silly. Like, sometimes it's those little things that help us see what we're doing. And I was like, no, Laura, who's running a successful coaching business, like 5-figure months, going to 6 figures, like all of this, like, she has like a proper desk set up, like with a keyboard and everything, right? Like, it can be those micro examples too. Like, and so that's when I'm like, what am I doing? This is insanity. Like, and I just like went down to JB Hi-Fi and got the computer stand and the thing. Such a good example, right? It's like, no, the where I'm going and who I see myself being and what I'm creating in this business isn't aligned. This is what alignment is. It isn't aligned with a crappy computer that takes 10 minutes to start up every day and makes me like get pissed off, right? It's like, of course, if you're running a successful business, you need a proper computer. It's almost like we put ourselves into the reality of that, right? Like, such a good example. Thanks for sharing that. And like, I think we can all think of little examples like my embarrassing computer one. Like, I don't even know it wasn't even like a financial decision. It was just like I can't be bothered kind of thing, which is like wrong as well. Shouldn't make myself wrong. Like, not the right decision. Like, I can't even be bothered to set up my desk properly because it's been fine so far. It's like, no, if I'm going to be like working with more people and like growing my business, like, of course I'm going to have a proper setup. Like, it's silly. So like, thanks for that example. And like, so good. Like, you can lean into that too as like an example for yourself. So when this comes up, you can be like, well, it's just like the computer, right? The $500 computer was like fine, but it wasn't allowing me to be efficient and like store everything, and everything took like double the amount of time it needed to do. So like the $2,000 computer, the upgrade, allowed me to run my business more efficiently and more effectively, which means I have more space for more clients instead of time like cursing my computer. And it's almost like you can lean into that example of like how, you know, when you did that, you stepped into the future version of yourself, right? Such a good example. Thanks for sharing. So I'm hoping that was super helpful, guys. I hope you walk away with something to think about. Leave, if you're catching the replay, leave your takeaways here too. I always love hearing what resonated with you out of these sessions. Yeah, and have a fab, I was going to say Friday because I'm so used to doing these on Friday. Have a fab Thursday. Let me know as I drop to these links at the start of this video, so feel free to book in your call. I love doing those. Step into your future self and like go, of course I bring in support, right? And there's no obligation out of these, but it's like, of course, like I'm the kind of person who can step into support and get support in my business and take this from kind of hobby and dabbling to like a serious business, or take it from my current reality to like stepping into that future reality. So yeah, super excited to connect with you on those. Yeah, have a fab Thursday. I'll see you guys soon. Bye.